What's up, book nerds? Welcome to the book review. I'm Ursula, your friendly neighborhood passionista, and today I'm reviewing Stuck Up Suit by Vi Keeland and Penelope Ward. I really like this book. I have read a couple of their books. They both write books individually and then they write books together. So I've read a bunch of their books together, and this one has to be my favorite so far. I love you ladies. I've actually got a couple more of your books that you guys have written together on my Kindle. I just haven't read it yet, but I'll get to it. I have a lot of books. Anyways, what I love about this book is that it is told from both of their points of views. Like, one chapter is told from Soraya's point of view, another chapter is told from Graham's point of view, and I love it when an author does that. I do. I love it because I feel like you get to see both sides. And when you get to see both sides of a story, you get a more well-rounded story because you get a better picture, and you need that in a romance novel, because what makes a good romance novel is a well-rounded story. And you really need a story that's well-rounded so you have these feelings. Like, you want the feeling of your heart pumping, blood rushing, toe curling, yumming, delicious feeling when you read a romance novel. You need that feeling so that you know when Tosca Musk makes it into a movie, it is Passionworks worthy. By the way, you need to go subscribe to Passionflix. They're kind of awesomeness. Let's get to our story, friends. So Soraya and Graham, they meet on a train, and she finds his phone, and she goes to take his phone back to him, and he's a complete jerk to her. Like, he won't even open the door. And she's like, what a douchebag. That's horrible. And so how she gets back to him is she sends him a picture of her rack, her foot, and her butt. Because of course that's what you're gonna do to get revenge on a guy. She also calls him some names. And anyways, he sees these pictures and he kind of becomes obsessed with her, and they start texting back and forth, and I love it because their texts back and forth are delicious. They really are. They're delicious. They're great. They're funny and they're naughty, but they're also very intelligent, and they have a great banter. I love that they have a great banter. So they developed the relationship. The authors, Penelope Ward and Vi Keeland, developed a really good relationship between Soraya and Graham, which I love. I love it when authors do that. And they did a great job with it. But anyways, they text back and forth, and she refuses to send a picture of her face because he got those other pictures, but he has no clue what she looks like. But he does know that she has a tattoo on her foot. So what happens? But he becomes obsessed with her. He's like, I can't stop thinking about you. Who are you? Like, I need to see you. What's going on? So anyways, he's on the train again, and he sees a girl with a feather tattoo on her foot. And he figures out it's her. And who is she but a beautiful, adopted, gorgeous Italian girl with long black hair that she dyes different colors. She's very eclectic. I love that Soraya is very eclectic and very voluptuous, and I love that. Like, her and I, we'd be besties. Seriously, we would be. Anyways, he figures out it's her and decides to mess with her for a couple days and keeps texting her. And then a couple days later, he sees her again on the train, but with a guy. And so he texts her and is like, who's this guy? I could totally take him. And she looks up and is like, oh crap, he knows that I know who he is, and he knows who I am, and that I've been watching him. That totally makes sense. I hope you get what I'm saying. Anyways, so they get off the train, and he doesn't even say anything. He just starts kissing on her, and they're making out, and he's just like, look, I'm obsessed with you. Please go out with me. And she's just like, Soraya's like, no, you just want me for sex. Not gonna happen. But Graham is actually like, hey, I really kind of like you. I think there's something here. Let's go out. So he finally convinces her to go out with him, and they go out and have a great time. And after they have a great time, she's just like, look, I don't know if we should see each other again. He's like, look, I really like you, please. In fact, I only want you to see me. I only want to see you. And she's skeptical because she thinks he's a player. And mind you, he is. But he convinces her, like, hey, like, we need to see each other. So she goes, look, all right, how about you and I hang out and you meet my friends because we're really different and we may not get along. And he's like, all right, I'll raise you one. I'll go out with your friends, then you go with me to like a gala for my company. And she's like, okay, I'll do that. And then after that, you and I can decide if we want to just be exclusive. So he goes to a party for her friend who's a tattoo artist. And when he's at this party, the tattoo artist is like, hey, do you want a tattoo? And he's like, no, but could you cover one up? And what does he have a tattoo of? The name Genevieve on his chest. And Soraya's like, who's Genevieve? Seriously, and why are you getting the name covered up? And he goes, okay, it's an ex-girlfriend, this tattoo is a mistake. Well, he gets the tattoo covered up and corners Soraya and is like, look, she's an ex. Like, it was a big mistake. She, like, cheated on me with my best friend who started a company with us, and then they ran off, started their own company, got married, and had a kid. And he's like, I'm so sorry that happened. And she's like, okay, you should have told me. I'm sorry that happened to you. I have daddy issues. My dad left my mom. And he goes, I'm sorry. So the next day they go to the gala and they're having a great time. And who shows up but this girl named Avery? And she corners Soraya in the bathroom and is like, look, Graham is using you, like, you should just dump him. And she goes, who are you? And she's like, hey, I'm Avery. I'm Genevieve's best friend. I just thought I would warn you about Graham. And she's like, okay, that's really weird. So she acts a little weird, and then she finally, like, gets cornered by Graham, is like, look, you've been kind of cagey since the gala. What's going on? I thought we had a good time. And she tells him about Avery, and he's like, look, I'm so sorry. Like, Genevieve's in the past. I really like you. I want to be with you. So they decide to be together, and he invites her over for dinner, and finally they start to go at it, and you're like, okay, finally. Gets to the part in the book where they're gonna have sex. And what happens when it's getting good, but he gets a phone call. And what happens? His grandmother's in the hospital. And you see, his grandmother is all he has left because his mom died when he was a little kid of cancer. So she's just like, crap, I should go with him. So they go to the hospital and she meets Grandma, and it's really, really cute because Grandma is just like, you're adorable, and my grandson really, really likes you. Like, he told me about you, which he totally did. He told Grandma. So, you know, he is like obsessed with her. It's adorable. And she's like, okay, fine. I should try and give you a chance. Finally, later that night, they have sex. Yay! And Vi Keelan and Penelope Ward did a great job. They did a great job. Like I said before, you want a love scene that is not too graphic, but just graphic enough to get the juices flowing, to get the heart pumping feeling, if you know what I'm saying. And so that finally happens, and things are going great. And then his ex-best friend dies. And Genevieve shows out of his office and is like, hey, my husband died. I want you to run our company with me. And he's like, no, you cheated on me with my best friend and he just died, and now you want me to run your company with him? Not gonna happen. And then he goes to his funeral and sees like his best friend and Genevieve's daughter, and she looks exactly like Graham. Not even kidding, exactly like him. Guess what? It turns out she was pregnant when she married the other guy, and it's Graham's. And she's like, yeah, I kept your kid from you. I'm so sorry. And he's like, how could you do that to me? That's horrible. I can't stand Genevieve. Oh God, I can't stand Genevieve. Like seriously. But at the same time, I love the fact that I can't stand Genevieve, because another thing that makes a good romance novel is when you really hate the bad guy. And I guess Genevieve pretty much is your bad guy. Like, you know that is a well-written book when you can't stand that person because the author makes you dislike them so much. And I love the fact that I hate Genevieve. That's just another reason why I love Penelope Ward and Vi Keelan. They did a great job with that. Thank you for making me help Genevieve. You did good. So, where were we? Yeah, disliking Genevieve. So, they have a paternity test, and it turns out it's his kid. So, he starts to spend time with his kid. And what happens? Oh, Genevieve starts to be like, hey, starts to do stuff to show like, hey, I want to be with Graham. And Soraya's like, what the heck? Like, she just starts to drop little hints. Like, she goes to Graham's office and is like, hey, who is this Soraya girl? I mean, why are you with her? She has a tongue ring. And he's like, yeah, and I love her tongue ring because I love her, because he's so in love with her. Like, he goes out and gets a tattoo, the same feather tattoo she has on her foot, on his chest. Not even kidding, with her name. And goes to Soraya and is like, look, I got this done. I'm in love with you. And when he says that, she goes, crap, I love him, but I'm afraid to tell him. And also decides to just be like, I might be pregnant, because she might be pregnant. And after that happens, they have to go to a birthday party for his daughter. And when they're at the birthday party, it turns out the place the birthday party is at, which is in the Hamptons at a house, turns out to be the house that Graham bought for Genevieve when they were together. So, and she kept this house. And Soraya's just like, crap, I'm at a house that they had memories together. And I have to see him with his kid. And I already have daddy issues because my daddy left me. And then she gets her period when they're at this birthday party. And she's like, crap, I'm not pregnant. And she sees Genevieve with Graham and is like, crap, I'm breaking up a family. What do I do? And at the party, Genevieve corners Soraya and is like, look, I have his kid. I want to be with him. I'm going to do what I have to do to try to be with him. And Soraya doesn't know what to say. So they leave the party and she's so confused because she loves him, but she also really loves Chloe, the little girl. That's her name. And she's like, I want to give her a good family. So what does she do? But she writes a letter to ask Ida, her employer, because she has no clue what to do. Well, guess what? She gets the letter back. In the letter, Ida tells her to break it off with him, and that the way to do it is to make him think she cheated on him so that he leaves her alone permanently. Add insult to injury. Seriously? Deceive him? Are you kidding me? But at the same time, it makes a good story. Love it. So, anyways, she decides to get her friend's cousin to help her make him think she cheated on him. So, like, he shows up at her apartment one day when he hasn't heard from her in a couple days and sees her with this guy, and this guy's like, yeah, we're together. She didn't know how to tell you. And Graham's like, how could you do this to me after you know what my ex did? And she's like, I'm so sorry. And after that, like, Soraya is so devastated. She's so devastated. She doesn't know what to do. And Graham is so devastated. They're both like heartbroken. So one day, like, Graham is spending time with his daughter and he's at dinner with Genevieve's, and Genevieve gets him drunk and like tries to seduce him, and he's just like, look, no. Whether I'm with Soraya or somebody else, you and I will never be together because of what you did. And honestly, Good for you, Graham. Standing up and being a true man. Thank you. I applaud you, Graham. I do. And so after that, he's still devastated and is just thinking about Soraya a lot. And so one day he sees a letter in Ask Ida saying, hey, Ida, I'm in love with this guy, but he just found out he had a baby with his ex, and this ex wants him back, and I feel like I should leave even though I love him so much. And Ida goes, yes, you should leave him and make him think you cheated on him. And Graham's like, oh crap. Ida, you're an idiot. How could you do that? I totally love Soraya and she loves me. So he goes to find her, but he can't get a hold of her. And why can't he get a hold of her? I'll tell you why. Because she goes on a trip to California because she can't stop thinking about her because she's so devastated. This all could have been avoided, Soraya. It all could have been avoided. But that's okay, because it's just a book. I love this story. I love being able to have a lot to say about a romance novel, because to me, again, that's just another reason that a romance novel is good, because you have reasons to talk about it. You have opinions about the book. What makes a good romance novel? It just is. Where was I? Yes. He finds out she's in California, so she goes after him, or he goes after her, and it's just like, hey, I'm here. I'm in love with you. I know what you did. Please talk to me. And she's just like, okay, I'm so sorry. Like, I just thought I was giving Chloe a better life. And he's like, well, you're not. Like, I choose you. I love you. And so they get back together and things are awesome. And that's where the book ends. But the epilogue is great. In the epilogue, you see that he finally tells Chloe who he is. He's her father. And then he also tells her that Soraya is pregnant. So him and Soraya in the epilogue have a baby named Lorenzo. And then after that, there's a second epilogue, which I think is cute, and which is just an Ask Ida letter. What he does, he asks Ida advice on how to get his fiance, because by then he's asked Soraya to marry him, to just go down to the courthouse and get married. Like, because they had set a date from a year from there, and so that she could get back in shape after the baby. But he's so happy, he just wants to marry her. So he sends her the letter, and what happens? But she agrees to go get married. The end. I love this book. I love this book. Like I said, I love having a lot to say about a book. To me, it's what makes a good book, having a lot to say about it. And obviously, as you can tell, I have a lot to say. True story, my friends, true story. All right, let's get to the part where I start reviewing the book on a scale of 1 to Passion Fix. Now, my friends, I ask you, do you think it's Passion Fix worthy? Well, guess what? I do. I give it a 10 out of 10. Totally Passion Fix worthy. Tosca Musk, you need to make it into a movie. It was really, really good. So good. Thank you, my friends, so much for turning in for this episode of The Book-a-la. Tune in on Tuesday when I review One Moment, Please by Amy Dawes. Thank you so much, friends, and I'll see you next week. Bye.